Have you heard of a little game called Dota? Real ones will remember it started out as a Warcraft 3 custom map that got so popular it leaped out of the custom game's lobby and became its own genre. Now you can't go anywhere without tripping over a dozen MOBAs. Blizzard was so salty this golden goose got away they made their own Dota clone, but who cares about that? History is rhyming a little bit because now we find ourselves in a situation where World of Warcraft, bloated and scattered as it's become, barely resembles the game it used to be. And if it wasn't obvious from all the little minigames in WoW and the plethora of private servers, Blizzard's player base is fractured. They can't focus on everyone. What a perfect time for a small company to capitalize. Enter Fellowship, a dungeon running game ripped straight out of WoW, trimmed, refined, and polished for the Mythic Keystone crew. It's not a finished product, it's only in early access, but as a Mythic Plus enjoyer, I have to say what Chief Rebel has done so far has been pretty great. They've done away with so much time-wasting FOMO garbage, which means you can spend more time spamming dungeons. No leveling, no professions, no farming for consumables, no grinding for currency, no repair bills, no poorly written, overly animated cutscenes. There's barely a story. Shut up. It's plug in and play. You start the game and you start running dungeons. It really shows how much Blizzard takes its audience for granted when here, almost every step of the way, your time is respected. Respecking everything and regemming my gear costs nothing. It's free, and I can do it as many times and whenever I want. Are you sure? But far and away, the best thing they got rid of was the subscription fee. Ugh! Sold! This game is shaping up to be everything I wished Mythic Plus was. So what's the catch? Well, it's early access, so there's all the bugs and hiccups that come with that. It's a new game, so no one knows anything, which is a curse and a blessing. Playing the game does involve some reading, I'm sorry. It's also full of Mythic Plus players. If you know, you know, and it's not devoid of time wasters. For example, to unlock a character's full kit, you need to run 9 dungeons with that hero, minimum. Sure, there's quick play, but with 9 total characters in the game for now, this is a little tedious. I get that there's a lot of moving parts here, and drip-feeding abilities to people can help them learn the character without overwhelming them, but if this is a Mythic Plus game for Mythic Plus gamers, I think you can give us a little credit. There's also the question of longevity. Don't get me wrong, I'll spam the same dungeon every day for years, but that doesn't mean it doesn't get bland. You need to add a little spice to your sauce. Plus, this is kind of a speedrunning game, so once people blitz through the content or reach their own personal goals, they'll shelve the game and it takes a lot to bring people back. It'll be interesting to see how the devs keep things fresh. Dungeon rating and item level are also per character instead of account-wide, which makes sense. While there's some similarities within roles, so far each hero is fairly distinct from one another. Over time this will funnel people into their preferred characters, but I don't mind that so much. Queue times will vary depending on your level of intelligence, but that's okay. Late game World of Warcraft was a bit of a lobby simulator for us DPS monkeys. At least in Fellowship there's no pretense. In my experience, the wait times never lasted longer than 5 minutes. That's not a terrible wait. You all have phones. Before I touch on the classes, I have to say I'm not a fan of the game's art style. I know, it's not finished. It's early access. All I'm saying is it feels very derivative of World of Warcraft, which I guess is kind of the point, and it lacks edge. I'd just prefer if the game had its own visual identity is all. While we're here, the music is also generic and forgettable. This is a lot easier to change, even further down the road. It's not terrible, it could be better. A good soundtrack can make a bad dungeon tolerable and a good dungeon incredible. Bonus points if the beat lines up with the global cooldown. But that's all a matter of taste, and yeah, I get it, early access. What we're here for right now is the gameplay. Is good. The bulk of Chief Rebel's attention has clearly gone into the classes and dungeons, even if a lot is copied from WoW. I don't think that's a bad thing. Some familiarity will help WoW veterans slip into the game like a crusty sock. Tanks have a prot warrior paladin mix, and a brewmaster monk with a dash of windwalker. DPS has Spellslinger Frostmage transplanted directly from WoW, I'm serious, it's the same class. Arms Warrior, Assassin Rogue, Marksman Hunter, and Fire Mage. Healers have a Resto Druid and the unholy offspring of Disciplined Priests and Holy Paladins. The combat is tab-targeting hotkey MMO combat, which is pretty good for those who've been playing it for years, but I don't know how much of a new audience it can attract. Hey gamers, if you haven't grown up with this gameplay, could you let me know what you think on my Discord server or in the comments? I want to know. I'm curious. What does this feel like to someone who hasn't grown up with it? As of now, group sizes are limited to 4, and you must use the standard tank, heals, and DPS party composition. Having only a pair of DPS will take some getting used to. Fewer bodies means fewer interrupts and less DPS. If someone goes down, that puts a lot of pressure on the living. Playing the game, it feels like as soon as someone goes down, the pull is scuffed and you might as well reset. This might not be the case. I haven't seen everything, and I have finished bosses with casualties. What I do know is there are far less crowd control and utility abilities in Fellowship than World of Warcraft. Mages, for example, had access to Frostbolt, Frost Nova, Cone of Cold, Cold Snap, Ice Block, Ice Nova, Supernova, Spell Steal, Counterspell, Time Warp, Mirror Image, Ring of Frost, Dragon's Breath, Invisibility, Slow, Polymorph, Barriers, Mass Poly, Mass Slow, Mass Invisibility, Blink, Displacement, Shimmer, and Alter Time. Did I miss anything? In Fellowship, the damage heroes have access to one interrupt and one class-specific crowd control ability. A lot of utility was taken out of the classes and put into weapon skills and relics, which are like trinkets. Each hero can equip up to 2 relics, and these activatable items range from a simple health potion to a battle res or a mass cleanse. You can mix and match these depending on your preferred playstyle or how you want to handle a specific dungeon. Speaking of dungeons, they better be good because that's what we're here for. Let's leave the little bugs aside for now. There are 8 normal progression dungeons with 6 levels of scaling difficulty, with a capstone dungeon acting as a gate between ranks. Each rank adds additional mechanics to mobs and bosses, and what would be affixes in WoW are called curses here. I really like what they're doing with the curses. I'm not going to go into them in detail here. All I will say is they're not as oppressive as the WoW affixes used to be, and they come with benefits, so they slightly modify how groups may handle pulls in each dungeon. Each dungeon takes about 10 to 15 minutes to complete, and the capstones are more similar in difficulty and length to the mythics you may be used to. They're like 20 to 30 minutes, you know, on paper. The monsters and bosses in the game have enough mechanics to keep the fights engaging without getting too crazy or difficult. I wouldn't say the game is hard, but it's very punishing. The higher you go up in difficulty, the less room there is for mistakes. But since the player base is full of Mythic Plus gamers, people are taking huge bites out of the game before being slapped in the face with reality. Once you hit a wall, what you should be doing is dialing the difficulty back until you can just barely complete the dungeon and build yourself up from there. But, you know, people just get mad and leave. Just kick the spells and dodge things. Once you get through Adept, it gets better, I promise. Fellowship is shaping up to be a fantastic game, building off a strong foundation with well-designed classes and dungeons and a clear vision of what it wants to be. A lot of tedious nonsense you've been trained to swallow has been done away with in favor of player convenience. Thank you. How the devs keep the dopamine-addled pugs around and keep the game fresh remains to be seen. They have years of data that will hopefully allow them to avoid the pitfalls and mistakes World of Warcraft has blundered into. It's still in early access, so, you know, take that as you will. But what's here is good enough. If you enjoyed Mythic Keystone Dungeons at all, I would recommend trying out Fellowship. I like what you're cooking, Chief Rebel. Looking forward to the finished product. Thanks for watching. Here's my second Discord plug for groups. If you are joining for Fellowship games, just know that the Discord server was originally for Heroes of the Storm groups. I don't expect there to be much cross-pollination, but you never know. If you liked this video, I have some similar ones to it in the reviews playlist. Check them out and let me know what you think. Thanks again. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to go run some dungeons.